Hey folks, Malforian here and welcome back to the channel. Today, just a really quick video. There was a post today on the forums by one of the game designers for Crusader Kings 3, and I thought it was worth just bringing up in case you haven't seen it. It's not going to be a very long video, but I thought it was worth a discussion, and we can discuss it in the comments down below as always. But yeah, this was the post basically. Somebody was asking about the level of silly events in the game, and then basically, as they say here, as has been mentioned before in the forums, we are well aware of how many of you feel about the tone of CK events, and it has been taken on board for future events. We do not currently intend to go back to the countless events already and change the tone, so I think we've all seen the feedback, and let me know what you think in the comments. Some of the events in the game are a little bit silly. There's always silly stuff in CK2, but I think more so at the end of the game, when I think, it's fine to kind of go off the rails a little bit at the end of a game cycle, and you can kind of have a bit more freedom, I guess. But I would agree that some of the events are a little bit silly in CK3. I'm sure we've all had the court event where the guy's head is rolling into your court and there's like a flock of people chasing it down, or you go on a pilgrimage and there's some ducks and you like follow the ducks and then there's more ducks, or there's like a wolf that kills you. These kind of silly events that I think the first few times you do it is pretty funny. Like the first time I did the head rolling one, I was like, okay, that's pretty funny. But then you see it like 25 times and you're like, okay, this is just getting silly, really. So they've obviously seen that feedback and said basically, look, we're not going to go through the old ones. It's not worth us going back to the old events and kind of redoing them. But we're going to basically skew the future events to be more, I guess, realistic, kind of a little bit less silly, which is fine. I hope there are still some silly ones, but I would say the ratio was kind of out of line a little bit. And then somebody obviously came back and said, just wondering, but with the introduction of the new eccentric trait, which is coming in the next DLC, showcased in a developer diary seemingly at random, I would agree with that. It was kind of like thrown in, I think in the last development diary that came out, just kind of thrown in at the end. Like, we're doing this new trait that's not like silly, but it's like half silly. And it seemed a bit weird, and I guess this does explain it a little bit. Would it imply that the numerous joke events added to the title will now be accessible only by characters with that new trait? And then, as they say here, many of the more noticeable prior events have been gated behind the eccentric trait, but not all. So basically, I think some of the more crazy ones, as they say, are going to be only there if you have eccentric. Now, I don't know how that's going to work. Like I say, like the head rolling one, I'm not sure how eccentric would affect that. I guess it wouldn't, that one. Now, maybe the duck one, for example, only if you're eccentric would you be like, oh, there's a random duck over there. I'm going to go follow it through that hedge and things like that. So I imagine the ones where it's more just about your character, whereas the head rolling one, like the whole court's there and things. So I don't know how that would work with eccentric. It seemed a bit weird, I think, that only eccentric characters would see that. But there are numerous ones, and I'm sure you can call them out, where the event would make more sense if you're eccentric, or it's a good way to kind of like partition them out from all the other events. And that's it, basically. Let me know what you think in the comments. I think this is a pretty good way of kind of removing some of the sillier ones, but still having them in the game. We could have just had a game rule for it. I'm not 100% sure why they didn't just do that. Maybe there'll be one that just says all events, silly events locked behind eccentric, and then no silly events. You just never see them. Something along those lines. So you can have it either way. So you could still have them even if you're not eccentric, but you can lock them behind the trait, or you can lock them away fully and you just never see them. So that'd be pretty cool. If not, I'm sure there'll be a mod that does it. But yeah. That's going to be the video today. We should hopefully have a dev diary maybe tomorrow. They said they return in August. I would imagine more likely next week. But I did see Stellaris has been back posting. So hopefully we get some new news on the next DLC soon. But on that note, we'll leave it there. And as always, if you've enjoyed the video today, make sure to hit that like button. It helps other people find the channel and videos like this a lot more easier on YouTube, feeding that algorithm. And if you have enjoyed it, hit subscribe. I cover Crusader Kings, obviously. I do the dev diaries. I do narrative campaigns on the channel. We've got the Rise of the Gurids achievement run going at the moment. It's going quite well now. So yeah, do follow along if that's your kind of thing. But we'll leave it there for today, and I'll see you in the next one.